Assalamualaikum and good day to all Azamina. My name is Siti Zaharah binti Ibrahim, metric number F18B0228. Today, I would like to present about my final year project entitled Parental Awareness of the Nutrition Intake to Their Children Growth. Introduction. Child malnutrition is a major public health concern all over the world. Based on WHO 2020, the World Health Organization estimates that 144 million children are started, 47 million are obese, and 38.3 million are overweight obese. Malnutrition refers to any deficiency, excess, or imbalance in energy or nutrition intake and include the both undernutrition and overnutrition by early 2021. And for the data has been related to many health and productivity risks in children as well as an increased risk of morbidity and mortality. First statement. Nutrition is important for human survival, but it's especially important for children because it affects every aspect of their growth and development. Based on WHO 2020, 70.7% of Malaysian children and adolescents with age 5 to 19 years old have pattern growth. From the previous study, Sultana 2017 said that the lack of nutrition awareness among parents is providing food to their children. Many parents are aware that serving nutritious food at home is important, but they are often unaware of what constitutes nutrition. Poor nutrition habits at home are frequently blamed on a lack of effort. From the previous study, Scallion et al. 2018 said that poor eating habits have a serious and long-term negative impact of the health of children. This research objective and research question. First is to determine the level of awareness of the nutrient intake to their children's growth in Malaysia. Second, to determine the level of knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjective norm toward parental awareness of the nutrient intake to their children's growth in Malaysia. And third is to determine the relationship of knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjective norm toward parental awareness of nutrient intake to their children's growth. Let's continue with hypothesis of study. In this study, have 5 hypotheses. There is significant relationship between knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjective norm with parent awareness of nutrition intake to their children's growth. Next scope of study. First is respondent, 150 parents who have children from age 5 until 12 years old in Malaysia. Second independent variable is knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjective norm. And third is dependent variable is parent awareness of nutrient intake of their children's growth. Significance of study. First is parent. To make parents aware of importance of good nutrition practice in their children's growth, and also to raise parent awareness of the importance of a well-balanced diet in their children's development. Second is researcher is to contribute the literature and understanding of parental awareness of nutrition intake to their children's growth. And lastly, government is to helping to continue preventing and controlling nutrition problem in country population and helping our country to achieve goal improving the nutrition status of the population, reducing non-communicable disease, and ensuring food security. In this study, using the combination of theory, KAP model and TPB. Let's continue with the concept of awareness of the nutrient intake to their children's growth. Based on previous study, EJ et al. 2017 said that nutrition awareness refers to understanding the interrelationship between nutrition issue and human life, which may have an impact on a person's life. In the table is a previous study from the Nazaro, Lero, and Marota 2018, Mashisha et al. 2021, and Sohami et al. 2021. Next, factor explaining parental awareness toward nutrition intake to their children's growth. In this table, I show that the variable knowledge, attitude, and practice with the findings study. It is a factor explaining for the passive behavior control and subjective norm with the previous study. Next is the effect of knowledge, attitude, practice, subjective norm, and passive behavior control on parental awareness toward nutrient intake to their children's growth with a finding study. Continue with the research method. First is research design is a quantitative and combination KAP and TPB. Second is population and sample is 150 parents that have children 5 until years old in Malaysia. Next is a data collection. It's a primary self-administered questioning and structured interview. For the sampling procedure is using the purpose sampling. For the pilot test, pilot study is the pre-test data was conducted from 30 per respondent from parents who have children aged 5 and 12 years old and analyzed by the reliability test. For the data analysis, the data will be analyzed by using reliability test, descriptive statistic, normality test, and correlation analysis by using SPSS. Next is a research framework. Its first independent variable is knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjectiveness. For the dependent variable, it's parental awareness of nutrition intake to their children growth. Next, let's continue with data analysis. Data analysis have three: it's reliability analysis, descriptive analysis, and correlation analysis. This is a reliability test. Value of Chrome-based alpha for all the variables were above 0.7 and all our variables are suitable for this study. First is descriptive analysis, was used to measure the demographic profile of parent awareness of the nutrition intake to their children in Malaysia. And this analysis also used on the Likert scale questionnaire to determine the percentage and mean score of the each question for awareness, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, subjectiveness, and knowledge. Descriptive analysis is from objective 1 and 2. First is to determine the level of parental awareness of the nutrition intake to their children growth in Malaysia, and second to determine the level of knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjectiveness toward parental awareness of the nutrition intake to their children growth in Malaysia. Okay. This is the result demographic profile of parental awareness of the nutrition intake to their children growth in Malaysia. First is gender. 80% of the respondents were among female. For the age, most respondents range in age from below 25 years old to 35 years old. For education level, most respondents have a high level of education, and for the race, the majority of respondents are Malay. Next is occupation. The majority of respondents work in the public and private sector. For the household income, the majority of respondents are from income group over 3,000 and also less than 1,000. The majority of respondents have 2 children and above. Lastly, the experience of seeing a child's nutrition needs. Most respondents have never seen a child's nutrition needs. Based on result, respondents have a high awareness of nutrient intake for children growth, as supported by the study conducted by Zaharah et al. 2018. Based on result, respondents have a high level of knowledge about nutrition intake for the growth of their children, as supported by Ramonas et al. 2018. In this result, respondents have a high level of attitude about nutrition intake for the growth of their children, as supported by the study from Ramonas et al. 2018 and Wenrich et al. 2010. Based on this result, respondents have a high level of practice about nutritional intake for their growth of their children, as supported by Muhammad Ahmed Ayat et al. 2021. That is, respondents have a high level of perceived behavior control about nutrition intake for the growth of their children, as supported by Chen et al. 2020 and McKee et al. 2019. Next is a level of subjectiveness. Respondents have a high level of subjectiveness about nutrition intake for the growth of their children, as supported by McKee et al. 2019 and Scalioni et al. 2018. Next, continue with correlation analysis, normality test. To determine whether the sample data was obtained from a normally distributed population or not following a normally distributed population. in this study, use a Komograph Smirnova because the number of respondents exceeds 15 population. Does not follow normally distributed because value was below 0.05. Spearman correlation is to determine the relationship of knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjectivism toward parental awareness of nutrient intake to their children growth in Malaysia. This is a rule of thumb for interpreting the size of a correlation coefficient. It's adopted by Guilford 1973. The Spearman correlation analysis for the awareness, knowledge, attitude, practice, PVC, and subjectivism. Continue the relationship between knowledge with parental awareness of nutrient intake to the children growth in Malaysia. Based on the result, the relationship between knowledge with parental awareness of nutrient intake to the children growth are significant, and the result of rule of the thumb is a negligible correlation. Net is the relationship between attitude with parental awareness of the nutrient intake to their children growth is significant, and the result of rule of thumb is low validity correlation. Net is the relationship between practice with parental awareness of the nutritional intake to their children growth are significant. The result of rule of the thumb is low validity correlation. Based on result, there are significant relationship between perceived behavior control with parental awareness of the nutrition intake to their children growth. The result of rule of thumb is negligible correlation. The relationship between subjectivism with parental awareness of nutrient intake to their children growth are significant. Rule of thumb is low validity correlation. Net is conclusion. First is the quantitative research design was applied and the questionnaire was structured based on theory, planned behavior, and KAP model. This study was applying a proportion sampling method that was involved 150 parents of children 5 until 12 years old. SPSS version 21.0 was be used to analyze the data using reliability analysis, descriptive analysis, and correlation analysis. Based on the result, parental awareness of nutrition intake to their children growth, knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjectivism have a high mean score. Besides, this study also showed that all the variables had a significant relationship between knowledge, attitude, practice, perceived behavior control, and subjectivism with parental awareness of the nutrition intake to their children growth. That is a recommendation. The study could be conducted of parents with 2-year-old children, as it is difficult for parents to provide accurate and healthy food to their children at this age. Second, most parents nowadays have jobs that require them to send their children to child care center, so this survey should be include teacher or child care center. That's all from me. Thank you.